Hello and welcome back to another 5-minute first impressions. I'm Anthony Malik and this is reviewyour.website reviewing we2p.com. So let's have a look here. Okay, so background image quite slow loading. I'm assuming there's one to come. Alright, okay, so there's no background image, but all the content below here took a long time to load for some reason. Must be this image, but for some reason this text took the same amount of time to load as the image, which is very interesting. Okay, so I'm a big fan of minimalist design. I have to say I really like it. So when I say that I like this design, in that sense I do. However, what isn't working here is your content is not looking minimal, and it's not looking it's not matching your design approach here. So first of all, your logo is nice, although I don't know what it is. Although it is kind of, yeah, I've absolutely no idea what that is. The font looks well, and it scales nicely. Your menu here, the minimalist kind of thing, is working very well. Fading to the black works well, and the underline is lovely. So good job on that. Let's move down though. However, so this region, there's a lot of text fit in a very small area. Well, maybe there's not a lot of text, but there's not a lot of space between your lines. So actually that's what it is, yeah. So your line lengths are nice. However, I tried to keep my line height, or the space between my lines, kind of larger than 1.5 EM. It just tends to space things out, gives you a little bit more room to kind of absorb what's going on, which is quite important with headers when you've got a lot of stuff coming towards you. So let's just go ahead. I would say the smoothest WordPress hosting experience. So what I would do is I'd add a little bit more space between in this area here, but as well as that, I'd also add almost this distance here between the next line of text, or possibly this distance here underneath this blue line. For some reason, yeah, it's just too cramped in there. Now the little fade down here works quite nice. That's kind of subtle and nice. It works well. However, I'd possibly see the way we have this very faint little drop shadow here and no border. It just looks a little bit odd at this particular position. I'd possibly consider adding a little bit more of an obvious border there. So the smoothest WordPress hosting experience. We2p lets you run fast and safe and experiment with cloned versions of your WordPress. So this copy definitely needs work. Using two ands in a row is not good. And the English here. So We2p lets you run fast and safe and experiment. So what this trying to implies is that the three words are describing one thing. So I think what you're trying to say is We2p is fast and safe and lets you experiment with closed versions of WordPress. I would put these in two separate sentences. We2p lets you run fast and safe, full stop. Experiment with cloned versions of your WordPress, full stop. Also, your WordPress doesn't make any sense. Your WordPress website, your WordPress blog, or just cloned versions of WordPress. Yeah, this was definitely written by somebody where English isn't your first language, and it's very obvious. So I'd get somebody who has English experience or English as their first language to help you rewrite that. So again, add a little bit more space below here, although the little blue line is really nice, and the blues you're using here work very well in your color scheme with the green. So in 5 seconds, ready to work with a new WordPress. Okay, again, a new WordPress what? WordPress website or WordPress blog? You know, a new WordPress isn't a thing. Okay, again, I'd add more space below here. You're making really nice use of the, you know, the extra space around here, and just don't let this let you down. So what is this? Is this an animation? Oh, it's a video. Okay, it's not very obvious that it's a video, and the mouse over plays it for some reason. I would have expected that clicking it plays it, and then mouse off stops it playing, which is odd. I'd possibly consider redoing that somehow, although it works quite well. Just make it more obvious that mouse over starts it. I maybe even put a grey overlay so it's more obvious. Fast and safe. There's something funny going on here. The fact that your ampersand is smaller than the rest of the text. I see what you're trying to do is you're trying to emphasize the fast and the safe, but it's not working in this case. Make the ampersand the same as this, or add more space between them, or don't use an ampersand. Just go fast, maybe a dash, safe, or a comma. Fast and safe just doesn't look right. Your container-based machine running on top of ultra-fast SSD server. Your container-based machine running on top of ultra-fast SSD servers. Again, the English there doesn't really work. Fast and safe. Your container-based machine is running, possibly, on top of ultra-fast, or, that needs to be reconsidered. Also a full stop at the end if you're putting a question mark down here. Again, I'd add more vertical spacing here as well between the header and the content. Be confident. Want to try something risky? Click to clone, count to 10, and your cloned WordPress something will be ready for the experiment. Will be ready to experiment with. I would change that to and add a full stop. I'd add more vertical spacing here as well. Again, so this one, the mouse over doesn't do anything. So let's move down. Euro 2. Okay, so I get what you're saying here, but again, having the euro smaller than the number, it doesn't add anything to your design. I'd make the euro the same font and size as this and color pay-per-use. This piece of information here is disconnected with everything else as well. It doesn't have a heading. It doesn't say it's cheap, simply priced or fairly priced. This, I would put it underneath this header rather than above it, because on its own there's no context. I'd also add more vertical space here. So you have this space between your header and your content, and up here content and header. But here we have content and here we have header, and there's no vertical spacing there. So I'd look at that. You run one WordPress day and night, you pay €15 a month. So your euro is the wrong side of the 15 there for Western Europeans. I would get rid of the dashes here, possibly just make that bold. You clone your production WordPress to experiment for a day, you pay that only once. Okay, so that's okay. I'd break these up. What I would do is I'm a bit of a fan of the kind of the 3-column layout. I would possibly consider splitting that out into 3 different columns with a graphic on top and simplifying the language here. Free credit. We want you to try it. $10. Okay, so again, this just looks completely out of context here. What I would do is I wouldn't put that here. I would change it to, let me see. Yeah, I would change put a call to action saying sign up now, get €10 free, or something like that. And use it as a rather than just saying it as a fact, use it as a method of drawing somebody in. So I would also put a call to action up here, by the way. Maybe possibly replace this blue thing here with your call to action. So say sign up now, get €10 free, something like that, or €10 free credit. So sign up in 10 seconds, no credit card required. This text is a little bit long for a call to action. Again, it's far too far down the page, but it is obvious, which is good. Move on to your footer, and there's a lot of information going on here, and it's very asymmetric. So we have it doesn't end at the same level down here. Also, there's less information. This side seems lighter than this side. Also, the fact that you have 2 Twitter icons, that one goes to your Twitter, and this just denotes that this is a latest tweet. I'd get rid of the latest tweet because it doesn't need to be down there. I guess, yeah, if you're going to do it somewhere else, because in your footer, nobody really reads footers, especially if you're trying to grab their attention to buy your product. I would possibly, if you want to include this to show that you're an avid Twitter or an active Twitter user, I would put it somewhere up in the content up here. But otherwise, the content looks pretty good. This footer needs a little bit of work, but overall, the design is quite solid.